When we understand this, if it was such an emergency, if there was in lieu to finding a 911 call, then why did we hold this for almost a month? Well, we've been told that it's to help a Senate fair trial. Be damned, the House, inappropriate process we had. But even though the process was bad, I'm gonna go back and make sure the facts are, let's make sure the facts are here, because they still haven't changed. A phone call that was put out in a transcript in which no pressure was applied. There was no conditionality on anything given in that call or sense to do that. There was also nothing given by the Ukrainians to actually get this money that was released. By the way, before it was actually statutory deadline of September 31st, they did nothing, they got the money anyway. But the problem is they want the Senate to do their job for them. But that's not how it works. You see the Speaker, and what I've heard today, even from folks giving 1 minute, Madam Speaker, is that this is all they wanted. It was a political impeachment. They have said he is impeached for life. This shows the true motivation, I believe, of the other side. It is their dislike for this president and the good work he is doing.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the Democrats' latest push to expose themselves as traitors against this nation by forwarding the articles of impeachment, which they know have no substance, and they continue to double down on their lies, trying to take down a duly elected president and subvert the Constitution at large. You guys are going to want to stick around to hear about that and a whole bunch of other breaking news stories right here on Just Informed Talk. Hi, I'm Craig. Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always like to begin by saying thank you. If you've hit that subscribe button, if you haven't, please come here, click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. We always go over and check the Q boards. Q post 3774 is where we left off. And it's been over 2 weeks now since Q's posted. And there's just been bombshell after bombshell as far as news and stories coming out with us exposing these criminal leftists, the Democrat hacks, the do-nothing Democrats who are trying to take down a duly elected president with this impeachment hoax. And the rhetoric on their side is only becoming more and more disturbing. And we're going to get into that. Plus, Project Veritas exposing a bunch of apparently at least one or more, I would say, Bernie campaign workers who are advocating for throwing people like you and me into re-education camps, aka communist-style gulags, so that we can break rocks for 12 hours a day and learn what it means to become a real working-class person. But we're going to get into that and a bunch of other stuff here on this episode, and I'm going to start here with this story. Pelosi names the impeachment managers to move these articles of impeachment to the Senate, and the managers, you guessed it, Adam Shifty Schiff, lying corrupt Adam Schiff, one of the most corrupt members of Congress, according to our president of the United States, President Trump, is going to be heading the prosecution of President Trump in the Senate for this sham hoax trial. And you have to ask yourself the question, are we just letting them do this in order to expose them and expose their completely unabashed hatred of our president, of our country, of our Constitution, and show them and expose them for what they are, which in my humble opinion are seditious, treasonous traitors against the United States of America for pushing what they know is a hoax. It's just like how the intelligence community beforehand, in the lead up to the Russia hoax, was using unverified intelligence to lie to the courts, to obtain search warrants, to obtain the ability to tap President Trump's and his campaign officials' private phones in order to try to get dirt in order to undermine the 2016 election. And now, right before the 2020 election, the Democrats are doing it once again. And here we go. This is just going to be round 15 at this point, and President Trump is undefeated, and he's not going to be defeated by this because he didn't do anything wrong. And the people pushing this are only doing it because, I've said this before, they would rather see this country destroyed than to face accountability for their crimes and corruption. That's as simple as it is. And reading from this Gateway Pundit story, it says here, Pelosi gave a rambling introduction trying to cloak the partisan political attack with patriotism by giving stumbling quotes from the founding documents and historical poetry saying, everything is about time. Pelosi also repeated her taunt to Trump saying this is an impeachment that will last forever. So you see what these people are doing. They said half the Congress people that ran on the anti-Trump docket were running on the fact that they were going to impeach Trump. And you know what? They said that they would find the crime, that they didn't know what the crime was. That's what they were saying before, but they'll find the crime to go after him, right? So in Democrat bizarro world, where these treasonous traitors live, they've completely flipped the system of justice in our country on its head by saying that you are presumed guilty until proven innocent by the Democrat Party. Not a court of law, not anything other than the Democrat Party says you're guilty, so you have to prove you're innocent, and that's the way that we're going to work from here on as a country. Well, let me just tell you, Americans around the country and patriots around the world are waking up to these lies and this complete political hackery that has taken over. And look, here's the thing. You have Representative Jerry Nadler, who I, affectionately refer to as the Penguin. If you've ever seen the old Batman movies, you may be able to see the kind of, connection that can be made there. But I'm going to leave that for you to decide on your own. But he comes out now and says that Mitch McConnell is perpetrating an unconstitutional and disgusting cover-up. What's amazing to me is how the Democrat playbook has really only a few moves. They have a few things. They do Russia, right? So if anything happens, it's Russia. In another way of explaining that, the Democrats have decided that their strategy is to hold the American populace and the world at large hostage by threatening to go to a global war with Russia, by continuing to throw these accusations against the wall that Russia is basically the reason everything good happened for Trump and everything bad happened to them is Russia. And if you believe that, I got a beachfront property for you in the middle of Antarctica or on the moon. I mean, it's literally that crazy, right? But then their other play is projection, right? They accuse you of what they're actually doing. Now, that is probably the most frustrating part for me. As an American citizen, I'm really getting fed up and tired of looking at these corrupt criminals every single day come up and tell me that my president is involved in traitorous activities, when these people are literally the people who facilitated previous administrations and their treachery against this country. I mean, the Clinton Foundation taking in millions, hundreds of millions of dollars from foreign governments, only to then turn around and basically betray the American people, help facilitate the Uranium One transaction, which was selling out our uranium reserves, or the fact that these same politicians who are accusing the president of unconstitutional and disgusting cover-ups, these same people are the ones who are involved in covering up the abuse of the FISA court, using unverified information, using DNC hack political disinfo that was created by Christopher Steele at the behest of a law firm that was contracted by Hillary Clinton and the DNC. So they used lies to illegally spy on the American people, violate their constitutional rights, and then they have the audacity and nerve to get up and tell me and you, the average American public, that there's an unconstitutional and disgusting cover-up. Yes, the unconstitutional and disgusting cover-up is that the Democrats are not being arrested for their corruption and put on trial. Where are the indictments? It's getting pretty disgusting. And even worse, you have Jerry Nadler saying that basically the senators in the Senate are on trial too now. So it's not just President Trump anymore. According to the House Democrats, the Senate itself, all of the Republican senators are on trial just as much as President Trump, because they give you this binary decision. You can either, in their words, you can either believe and trust President Trump or believe and trust in the Constitution of the United States. So they create these false paradigms to deceive the American people even further, and they continue to do it on a regular basis. It's the most disgusting act of treachery and cowardice I think I've ever seen. And it just gets worse and worse every single day. Pelosi putting forward also this sham impeachment on the same day that President Trump sits down to sign phase 1 of the historic China trade deal, which he's been working on for the last, 3+ years to get done, to have an agreement with China where we start addressing some of the major issues. Now, of course, phase 1 is not the end deal, and it's not the best deal. It's going to get some things moving in the right direction, but it's not going to address some of the major things like, reimbursement for identity or intellectual property theft, or having some sort of better regulation on the way that China has been stealing all of our technology and then rebranding it and selling it as their own invention. That aside, though, this shows how much these people hate this country. Because what have they done for the country? They've done nothing. The Democrats got into the House and they did zero. The only thing that they did was promise the American people who voted for them, and unfortunately these are very misguided people who voted for them in the first place, and a lot of those people, it's not even their fault, it's the fake news, but they promised them, yes, we are going to impeach the president. Well, here you go, they've impeached the president, but there's no basis for the impeachment that's ever going to stick. And there's no way they get 67 senators to vote to take out President Trump, and they know that. So what do? Now they say, well, we're going to have a trial, and we're going to have witnesses, and we're going to have to, but the Republicans can't have witnesses, but we can have witnesses because we did the same thing in the House, and we're going to do it in the Senate again, and we're going to really make a big fuss if they don't basically bend the knee and say that Nancy Pelosi is king of America or queen of America, and that her policy is what we're going to go by now. Who cares about the Constitution? It's Democrats are in control. We should just bow to them and let them overthrow our country, take away your Second Amendment rights, your Fourth Amendment rights, let them throw you into a gulag, as we're going to talk about here in a second, and put you in re-education camps because you can't be trusted to think for yourself. You have to be told how to think by the Democrats, and you have to listen to the fake news media and their lies about President Trump in this country, or else you're basically an evil Nazi-like fascist. This is what we're up against. And it sounds absurd, and it is absurd. But Pelosi saying here, like I said, you could either be loyal to Trump or the Constitution. Who's writing these headlines? Who is doing this stuff? This is what I get really frustrated about. I look at this and I think to myself, these people, it's half are brainwashed, half literally hate this country. They hate what we stand for. They hate our history. They hate the freedom that we have, and they would like nothing more than to destroy it. And then there's a small percentage. So it's like, let's say it's 40, and then there's like 10% or less who are the corrupt politicians, the corrupt businessmen, the corrupt big tech people who were literally involved in the crimes that Q and this movement has worked so hard to uncover and expose. And now they will do everything they can to destroy this country in order to avoid going to prison or having being indicted or being brought under these charges and investigation. This is not gonna end well for anyone, as far as I can see, because on my end, I'm just asking for truth and justice and legally legal resolutions that will help put these people behind bars if they are corrupt criminals. What the Democrats are doing, they're lying, they're cheating, they're stealing, they're doing everything they can to subvert what is our democratic system, our republic that has this democratic system. They're trying to subvert it, and they're trying to manipulate it just like they did in the attempt to manipulate the 2016 election, to manipulate the 2018 election, and now in the 2020 election, they're going to try to manipulate the system once again, because that's all this is. There is no substance behind this push for impeachment. It is merely an attempt by the Democrats to undermine the integrity of the 2020 election. That's what it looks like. As we have James O'Keefe coming out here and exposing these very radical people who are supporting Bernie Sanders. First off, you got to remember, this is the story of this guy, Kyle Jurek, whatever his name is. And he is apparently a Bernie Sanders organizer. And Project Veritas is saying that they may have more than one video of this, but you got to go watch. I'll leave links to the stuff in the comments, but the things he says, right? and yes, it's just one man's ideas, and yes, it could just be some anomalous thing where it's, you know, a very radicalized person, but you have to understand it's much more than that. This guy Kyle Jurek refers to himself as a anarcho-communist. He is apparently advocating for the reinstitution of gulags, like in Stalin's communist Russia, where people who don't agree with his anarcho-communist ideals should be put into a gulag to, as he says, crack rocks or break rocks for 12 hours a day so that they can understand what it means to be really working class, and that he's advocating for violence, which is obviously a threat to our democracy at large. And these people are talking about how cities will burn if they don't get their way. What kind of third world dystopian hell are we slipping into where you have people like this, you know, in their brainwashed, you know, crazed, deranged minds, thinking that violence is okay, is a valid form of expressing your political ideology and opinion in this country, where we know that's not the case. And I've never advocated for violence, and I never will. I advocate for the rule of law, and I am a big supporter of our military servicemen and women. But this is just an example of how there is a major threat to our democracy, and it exists within these Democrat organizations, especially the campaign, like with Bernie here, where the last video I saw, he was basically hinting at the fact that there were multiple people who shared his beliefs working in Bernie's campaign, right? And not to mention, right after all this came out, Iowa's entire Bernie team has locked down their Twitter accounts. I wonder why. Is it possibly because on social media they were showing agreement with this Kyle character and posting things that would make it quite transparent as to who is behind Bernie Sanders and his campaign? People who really would love nothing more than to destroy this country and put you and me into an internment camp or a re-education camp, gulag, whatever you want to call it. Not to mention here you have the Virginia governor declaring state emergency. Apparently, this is something that's coming out where he wants to declare a state of emergency to prevent lawful carry at the Second Amendment rally. But I've heard a few things about it. A couple people I've talked to have said, hey, this could be a setup. They could be just trying to get a bunch of patriots armed in an area so they could pull off some kind of major, you know, whatever way to frame or to enrage the country with some mass tragedy. But I'm not saying that that's going to happen. But now you have the Democrats panicking because citizens want to peacefully exercise their Second Amendment right and have a protest where they are armed in the state capitol. But you can't allow that to happen because, you know, Democrats. I don't know. So that is that. Here's an update. The exact same operatives who pushed the GRU hacked the DNC scam are now pushing the GRU hacked Burisma scam. Now, what's the GRU? That's the equivalent of the Russian CIA, KGB, whatever. Okay, so the Russians now, they didn't just hack the DNC, now they hacked Burisma. So as soon as we uncover the fact that Hunter Biden is making, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars with this corrupt company in Ukraine, right after his father threatens to fire the attorney general who was looking into the crimes that were alleged by this company that his son was working for, right? That quid pro quo that we actually have on tape that Joe Biden admits to, unlike the fake quid pro quo that they accused President Trump of having with a phone call between him and President Zelensky of Ukraine. They are now saying that the Russians hacked Burisma. Well, think about why they would come out and say this. And the real question is, did the Russians hack it and what? Did they hire Hunter Biden and pay him millions of dollars? No, that all happened before this hacking apparently took place. But the New York Times, the fakest newspaper in the world next to probably the Washington Post, reported on Monday that Russian hackers from the military unit known as the GRU successfully targeted Burisma Holdings, the Ukrainian natural gas company that Hunter Biden was paid millions of dollars for as a board member. The attacks were successful, according to a Silicon Valley security firm. Oh, is that like CrowdStrike? Is that the same kind of Silicon Valley security firm? The same firm that has the capability to hack into a company itself and then make it look like it was the Russians? Those are the people that we want to trust now? The Russian hackers, according to the New York Times, began targeting Burisma servers in November as House impeachment hearings were in full swing. Oh, man. Well, I guess there you go. Better just throw out all of the mountains of evidence that show that Hunter Biden was being paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars by this corrupt company whom his father was engaged in a quid pro quo extortion of by threatening to remove funding for the entire nation, U.S. aid to the country of Ukraine, if they didn't agree to fire the person who was investigating his son's corrupt company. Nothing to see here, ladies and gentlemen, just another day at the office. Remember, Q Post 1745 told us a lot about this, and I want to share it with you real quick. 1745 starts here. It talks about the FISA and how everything's going to be implicated through the FISA, and FOIA is going to help demonstrate that the dirty fake dossier was used as a primary source to secure highest level of intel spying on primary Republican opponent, plus post-election intel assets for domestic spying, foreign domestic spying on the President of the United States for the Office of Presidency of the United States of America, right? We knew this, but look at this. Let's go up here and look at the next put, 1746. Q goes on to say, no matter what happens, the media will not push the truth. Mainstream media implicated in the highest level treason event in U.S. modern day history. Refer back to previous drops. Witnessing highest level treason event unfold in U.S. worldwide modern day history. Have you ever witnessed so many Congress, state, or Senate seats vacate in a short period of time? Have you ever witnessed so many CEO, board of directors vacate events in a short period of time? Have you ever witnessed the DOJ and FBI, what is known, fire, release, vacate events in a short period of time? Have you ever witnessed the vacating party, all positions, challenge, fight, push for the removal of the entire entering duly elected POTUS? Have you ever witnessed a former U.S. president travel the world ahead, behind of the current, attempting to undo, threaten, hide, cover up, prevent current illegal, corrupt, evil events? Have you ever witnessed 40 to 50, now it's 150,000 sealed indictments, not all federal criminal? Have you ever witnessed so many pedo-child people go down? Have you ever witnessed a similar like group rise up, mimic Nazis, mimics Nazi Germany with similar like logo, push, etc., the anti-fascists? Have you ever witnessed DEFCON scare? You guys know the Hawaii missile scare. Have you ever witnessed unauthorized missiles fired? There's photo evidence of it in Skunk Bay, but nobody wants to talk about that. Have you ever witnessed political foundations receiving hundreds of millions of dollars from specific terrorist sponsor organizations, etc., only to immediately cease once out of power? The Clinton Foundation. All during the same period of time, nothing is happening, not fast enough. Do you understand what we are currently dealing with? People are dying. We are under threat of kill every second of the day. Those who you trust the most are the most evil. This is not a game. Humanity is at stake. No spelling errors intended. Mobile unknown if above. Q. So Q told us what this all is. That was back in July of 2018. He told us what's going to happen. The media is never going to talk about the stuff that we're going to talk about here on this channel. And they're going to continue to prop up these criminal traitors, these treasonous, corrupt traitors in Congress who are trying to literally push a coup against the sitting president. And we're just supposed to sit down and accept it. We're just supposed to believe CNN and their lies when they've been proven to lie time after time after time. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all of them. They're all liars. And they lie, they make the most bold-faced lies, and they prop up these corrupt traitors in Congress, and it's disgusting. Now General Flynn's had to withdraw his guilty plea. Why? Because there is no integrity within our system of justice anymore. They're trying to railroad him. They're pulling out every dirty trick in the book, and it's disgusting. And not to mention, hey, remember the last episode where I talked about Mary McCord? Well, now you hear right here on Gateway Pundit, Joe Hoff puts a whole article talking about how she made the transition from working as the person who set up the Russia hoax impeachment in the beginning to now helping orchestrate the fake whistleblower Ukraine hoax. These people, they'll never stop. Not to mention that you have the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Maria Yovanovitch, was being monitored the whole time that she was there. So we may have a lot more information than people want to believe. Plus, this was brought to my attention too, just getting through some of the news here, that Kansas lawmakers were getting a routine, quote unquote, security briefing at Forbes Field, meaning they were actually pulled from their house and or their their Capitol building, basically, and told to get on a bus to go with the military to be briefed by the Department of Homeland Security. I can only imagine what kind of briefing was taking place there, but I have a feeling it was meant to just scare the right people in the right way, just to make them a little bit nervous so that they'll start messing up, because it was all about, according to this, cybersecurity. Well, I wonder what kind of compromising ways they've been able to compromise themselves with. And I'm only putting it out there as a suggestion for everyone to kind of dig a little deeper into it. Not to mention here, Representative John Ratcliffe, John Durham interviewed U.S. Embassy official Dudley, who reached out to Papadopoulos months before Crossfire Hurricane. And what are the implications of that? Here it is, Representative John Ratcliffe. Now we come up with evidence that's recently been reported that one of the folks that John Durham talked to was an embassy official who reached out to George Papadopoulos 3 months before Crossfire Hurricane was ever opened. That's a sign that John Durham is looking at the fact that this may include Obama administration officials beyond law enforcement, perhaps to include our intelligence community. Oh, you think perhaps Obama was using clandestine intelligence officials to go and secretly set up President Trump for this hoax scam impeachment as a form of insurance, possibly, against him getting into office, so they could use this to meddle in the 2018 and 2020 elections and try to steal back power? I don't know. I'm asking the question. You guys tell me down in the comments. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching. A few more things before we go. If you want to help out the channel, I'm on Twitter. Not that Twitter. I'm on this Twitter, at JUSTINFORMED. You can come find me over here. I got a bid shoot up. If you want to sign up for the backup channel, I also have JUSTINFORMEDnews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. Also, be brave. Download the Brave browser. If you haven't tried it yet, it's a great product. It's just like Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, whatever. It's free, and it's a win-win. They'll make a contribution to this channel if you use the link in the description to download it, install it, and run it on your computer. And I guarantee you're going to love this product, because I love it, and it blocks ads, and it makes your internet experience that much better. So use the link in the description to download the Brave browser today. Also, you can check me out on Patreon if you want to become a monthly donor to keep this channel alive. You know, Big Tech has done everything they can to shut this channel down, to put it out of business, but you guys have kept it alive through your contributions here on Patreon. And it's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. I know you're helping create content here on this channel. I also have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. All the links to everything will be in the description. So before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today I want to read about being wise. And this is out of the book of Psalms, Psalm 37, verse 1 through 11. And these are the words that I try to temper myself with when I feel like, you know, it's just insurmountable. A lot of people, somebody wrote me a question the other day and said, how do you deal with it? You know, how do you deal with dealing with this evil every single day? And I wanted to just respond to them, God. I put my faith in God, and I prayed it to God and Jesus and for the Holy Spirit to come fill me up. And that's what I do. And that's the only way I get through it. But here's some instruction and wisdom for all of you out there. Psalm 37, 1 through 11, it says, do not be agitated by evildoers. Do not envy those who do wrong, for they wither quickly like grass and wilt like tender green plants. Trust in the Lord and do what is good. Dwell in the land and live securely. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you your heart's desires. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will act, making your righteousness shine like the dawn, your justice like the noonday. Be silent before the Lord and wait expectantly for him. Do not be agitated by one who prospers in his way, by the man who carries out evil plans. Refrain from anger and give up your rage. Do not be agitated. It can only bring harm. For evildoers will be destroyed by those who put their hope in the Lord, but those who put their hope in the Lord will inherit the land. A little while, and the wicked will be no more. Though you look for him, he will not be there. But the humble will inherit the land and will enjoy abundant prosperity. And that's what we have to temper ourselves with. It's as simple as that. It's probably the toughest thing to do, right? I'm trying to re-stress this because I need to hear it for myself, and I hope that it helps you guys, because I get so frustrated when I see these people who are trying to betray this country. They're trying to destroy this country, trying to destroy our president. They're trying to destroy everything. But we have to remember, put our faith in God. These evildoers, they're going to get dealt with. And as long as we live a righteous life, and as long as we remain humble before the Lord, that's how we defeat them. And that's why God and the sacrifice made by Christ on the cross, these are the most important things for us, and embracing the Holy Spirit that lives inside of us. Do that and you'll be successful. But that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thank you for watching this episode. Remember to come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't. Leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. Watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way, and hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, elbow it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me, though. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.